Hello, hello, hello. Davey Portman here for PostWrestling.com. We're up next. This is Deep Impact. We're back, John. We haven't done one of these for a long, long time. But yes, we're here to talk all about Impact Wrestling. I'm joined here by a Mr. John Ceno Evil. John, how are you today?
I'm great, Davey. As I hear the weather coming down here, I know a lot of people are losing power tonight. There's storms everywhere. No Tony Storm, but hopefully everybody is safe. My wishes go out to I heard there was an altercation at the Washington Nationals game in D.C., so hopefully everybody's okay. But yeah, the culmination of this show, you started with the empty arena reports. You passed the baton to me. I started doing the reports, and now finally, after over a year and change, we finally have fans in the Impact Zone in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, and it's so good to have fans again. Sure, this isn't the kind of attendance we've been seeing on AEW and SmackDown on Friday, but we're still at the Skyway Studios in Nashville, and to have fans back is such a good thing. We need it. It's professional wrestling. This is theater after all, and how can you do theater without an audience? Come on.
AEW, WWE, none of those shows had Sean Ross Sapp in the front row. How about that?
Absolutely, yeah. Sean Ross Sapp, who we're actually going to rely on a lot tonight, especially for the end of the show, but we'll get there later. But yes, we're here to talk all about Slammiversary. This is the show they've been hyping up just like last year. Who will be showing up? Last year they went very heavy on the video packages, hyping up all the kind of recent released superstars from WWE, Black Friday, if you will. And we went through the same thing again this year. So what were your excitement levels going into this show? Kind of what had you hooked? Was it the surprises? Was it the matches announced? Where were you on this?
It was a little combination of both. I mean, the Ultimate X match, whenever that gets brought up, I always get excited, especially with the participants we had this year. The main event, obviously, I was expecting it to be good with those two in there. And then obviously the surprises. And they did what I kind of expected. Like, I had a feeling they weren't going to go with the usual WWE releases. We weren't going to get Tucker. I'm sorry, a lot of people are disappointed we didn't get Tucker. we didn't get Bo Dallas. But I had a feeling they were going to swerve us in a way and bring people from other promotions or people that we probably weren't thinking of. And that's exactly what they did tonight. So they totally delivered on that end. It's not just a retrend of last year. No offense to, Eric Young and I forgot who else came in last year, but like those are kind of disappointing in a way. And then obviously going into this year, when they first announced the return of this pay-per-view and the concept they're going to do the same thing, at that time, we still had Samoa Joe, we still had Andrade. So people were like, oh my God, it's going to be crazy this year. But obviously as the weeks went on, we're like, okay, we don't have Joe anymore. We don't have Andrade. We might not be able to have the Iconics now. So a lot of things I feel like were changed at the last minute, but I feel like they made some really good decisions for this show.
I agree. I'm starting off this show pretty positive. I know Rebellion, I think, was the last one we covered, right? Which was the Rich Swann Kenny match, and we were a little negative on that show. But overall, I had a really good evening tonight, and I'm looking forward to break it all down. So, well, how about you take it away? What is it you say at the beginning of Shot in the Dark every week?
Let's get right down to it.
Let's get right down to it. Yes, we start with the pre-show. And did you catch the pre-show for this, John?
I did, actually. And I'm actually happy I did because, like, the first half hour of it was, like, the, I forget what they called it. Like, this is Slammiversary special that they showed, I think, after Impact last week. And it was really well done. It was, like, kind of like a documentary-style history of TNA. If you never watched TNA before, you could have just watched this and be like, oh, my God, Sting was here, Kurt Angle was here. Just like the importance of a lot of these debuts and stars that came out of here, like Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, it really made them feel like important and how like important it is for big names jumping over. So if you see this and you're like, okay, well, who the hell is going to jump over tonight if all these guys jumped over and made a name for themselves? I love this kickoff show, and all the talking heads. You had like Tommy Dreamer telling the story that like WWE like told him he must watch Impact to like scout the next talent out there. Things like that really made them feel important. The story with Scott D'Amore having a conversation with Jeff Jarrett after working the shows in Australia, I think it was WWA, and saying he went there with one talent being Chris Sabin, and now you see Chris Sabin on the show tonight. Like a lot of things really stood out and resonated with me. I highly enjoyed this. The first half of this kickoff for sure.
I completely agree. I was cooking my dinner whilst watching this, and it actually really captivated me. And I think it achieved quite a few things, which was, it set up the idea of the surprises, and as you mentioned, people who've jumped ship before. And B, it put a lot of good pressure on that main event, where you have this outsider holding the Impact title. And it was this whole idea of the talking heads from all the Impact talent and the Impact office, and how much they love this company and what it was with TNA, how important it is for them to have this title come back home to Impact. So I thought it was well worth the watch, actually. And did a really great job, I think, of selling the pay-per-view. And then we go into our first match of the evening, which was on the pre-show, which was Fire and Flavor defending the Knockouts Tag Team Championship against Decay, the newly formed Havoc and Rosemary. And this was kind of the first sign of like the crowd being there and what reactions we were going to get. And I thought Decay got a really great reaction from this crowd, and especially Havoc. They seem to really be into Havoc in this match. Fire and Flavor, I was actually a little surprised, because I thought they'd be a bit more over with this crowd, but they seemed a bit quiet. What were your thoughts on these reactions?
Yeah, I don't think they were too quiet overall. Like, definitely Rosemary and Havoc got the bigger pop out of the two teams. But I think they were just happy to see wrestling. I mean, like you said, it was a smaller crowd than we've been accustomed to, but I feel like these were like the hardcore, diehard fans. We had a lot of regulars that we saw in the crowd that we usually see at shows. So the energy was definitely there. I'm just surprised. Well, not really surprised, but I feel like the reason the match got maybe pushed to the kickoff was because it might not have been the original idea for this show. I think maybe we could have got like a cameo from the Iconics if they were available, if this was on the main show. Maybe even keep the titles on Fire and Flavor, because they were teasing a couple weeks ago to Scott D'Amore. They were teasing the fact that they don't have any competition. They want some more competition, and Scott would make something or a comment like, "Oh, we'll find you an iconic opponent," things like that. They had the whole thing with the Mickie James trash bag. So I feel like they might have been leading to something, and then for whatever reason, maybe the Iconics couldn't make it. They had to change plans, and they had this whole storyline with James Mitchell reuniting Havoc and Rosemary, and they surprisingly put the titles on them. I didn't really expect this, but maybe, like I said, change of plans. But I know we spoke about this a little bit on the watch along, but I feel like they definitely need some work done in the tag team division for the women's, for sure. One team that stands out for me, and I always bring them up whenever women's tag team gets brought up, but the Sea Stars. Ashley Vox and Delmi Exo, who I've seen in AEW. They were recently at the MLW show. They need to sign these two sisters. They're amazing. They're probably one of the best women's tag teams out there.
Did we see them on Impact briefly last year as well?
They did, yeah. They showed up.
Yeah.
They showed up at Impact. They showed up in the AEW women's tournament. Like they've been around. They just never got their proper, spotlight or signage. I think it's only a matter of time. And this would definitely be the perfect spot for them in the Impact and Knockouts tag division.
Yeah, Havoc picked up the win for Decay by hitting the tombstone. But I'm completely with you. This division feels pretty bare at the moment. You've got Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering there, but it feels like they're setting up for a bit of a turn with Jordan Grace and them splitting off maybe into a singles thing. And Havoc, we've just had this whole run with Havoc and Nevaeh going for Fire and Flavor, and it's kind of just subbing Rosemary for Nevaeh here. But yeah, they definitely need to do some work with bolstering this division. But I thought the match was okay, and it was nice to see them finally get a crowd again behind them. But where we go from here, we'll have to wait and see. We go into the pay-per-view proper, which starts with an opening video, which is showing lots of classic TNA and Impact shots as Sami Callihan is just chilling in Nashville, looking kind of pensive as he's ahead of his match. And there's these shots of Sami kind of in his locker room, looking in a mirror as he's talking to himself, and he sees his reflection in the mirror covered in blood, a kind of a premonition for what's going to be the no disqualification match tonight against Kenny. Speaking of Kenny, he arrives to the arena wearing a very nice shirt, Don Callis sporting a fedora and glittery pink shoes. I think, to match Tully Blanchard's jacket from earlier this week. Both looking ridiculous, but like an absolute star. Kenny Omega showing up here. And the first match of the pay-per-view is the X Division Championship, defended in the first Ultimate X match for, I believe, over 2 years. This is Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, Petey Williams, Rohit Raju, Chris Bay, and Josh Alexander. Now, a lot of these guys have been kind of battling for the best part of a year now. Obviously, Chris Bay held the X Division title for a bit. Rohit held it for a little bit. Ace Austin held it too. Josh Alexander being the current champion. So it kind of made sense to have all 8 of these guys, 6 of these guys in this match here. And yeah, we're getting a return of the Ultimate X match. This was definitely the match I was most looking forward to on this card, and I thought it was a great decision to start the show with something hot like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, and I'm happy that there was like no surprise participant in this match. It was all people that have busted our ass this entire pandemic era of Impact, all former champions, all like this is like the future of Impact, and any one of these guys can be signed and be a star elsewhere. I feel like this is like the perfect choice to start the show. All these competitors, like I said, were great. All the gear was great. They all had like their, as you called it, like their return to fans gear. You had Trey Miguel in the awesome Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse gear. Josh Alexander looking sweet with a black, red, and gold. Like everybody was looking. You could tell they were out here to put a show on.
Oh yeah, like this was their WrestleMania gear for this match. Like Chris Bay had this cool kind of green, blue, yellow, and cow print gear. Looked really cool. Josh Alexander, definitely the most over guy in this match. Huge walking weapon chance to start things off. Right as the bell goes, Chris Bay goes for the title immediately. So if you're not familiar with an Ultimate X match, you've basically got scaffolding attached to the ring posts, and then two ring ropes making an X hanging above the ring with the belt, the title strapped to the middle of the X. So to win, you've got to scale the scaffolding and kind of climb across these ropes to grab the title. And Bay decides to go for it immediately, but we're left with the baby faces of Trey, Petey Williams, and Josh Alexander surrounding him. The story has been Chris Bay, we haven't known where his allegiances lie. We've had the heels teaming up for the last few weeks, babyface teaming up, and Chris Bay's kind of been in the middle there. And it looked like he was going to join the babyface team on Thursday on Impact, but he then kind of turned his back on them and said he does things his own way. Well, now it's going to bite him in the ass because he's climbing and he's being surrounded by these guys who pull him down. Alexander hits this beautiful looking German suplex. Bay then leaps over Petey Williams with a con hilo to Alexander on the floor. Then Trey follows up with a diving DDT to the floor. There's Rohit Raju and Ace Austin fighting on the top rope, and Rohit pushes Ace off the turnbuckle, who turns it into a moonsault onto everyone on the floor. This looked great. And then Rohit does the first of many quite silly spots in this match. He goes under the ring and gets a rope to try and lasso the rope onto the X to sort of climb up like you're in gym class and you got to scale the rope to try and get the title. For me, this looked way harder than just climbing across the ropes that are already set up.
You know what Rohit reminded me of? I just took my son to go see the new Space Jam movie, and you know Wile E. Coyote always has the bag of tricks, like the Acme bag, where you just pull tools to try to get the Roadrunner. That's what I feel like Rohit was doing here. He had like the rope, and then later on he brought in like this little the hook, the one they use at the carnivals to get the prizes from the top shelf. Like he was trying all this stuff, and like you mentioned, it would have been just so much easier to just climb the thing and get the belt at this point.
It was very time consuming as well. It would have been way quicker to just scale the ropes. Quick sidebar, Space Jam, thumbs up, thumbs down?
I don't think it's meant for me.
Okay.
The first one wasn't a good movie. My son loved it. My son is a sucker for Easter eggs. There's a lot of great Easter eggs. Some Easter eggs that you would probably love as well. I don't want to spoil it, but there's definitely characters from franchises that you would appreciate. So that part of it was awesome, just seeing the random cameos and Easter eggs. The movie wasn't good, but then again, the first one wasn't either. So watch it on HBO Max for free if you have the chance.
Fair enough. Trey tries to hit a Rana off of Rohit, who's on the top turnbuckle, but Rohit actually holds on. So Trey just kind of falls to the ground here, to the mat, and Rohit follows up with a spear to Chris Bay. Quite a cool spot. Trey looked like he took a bit of a nasty fall here. Rohit now goes to the outside and comes back with a long hook. Imagine the things you have that at the fairground when you're trying to hook a duck or something to win a prize. This is what it looked like. So he's now trying to hook the title off of the X, but to no avail. Rohit then gets a steel chair to stand on it to get a little closer as he's using the hook, and Trey hits a top rope missile dropkick, sending him flying off this chair. This looked pretty cool. Rohit then applies a crossface as Petey Williams has locked in a sharpshooter. And then Josh Alexander, who's scaling the ropes to try and grab the title, dangles upside down to lock in an ankle lock to Chris Bay. So you have about 4 different submissions going on here at the same time. And the visual of Josh Alexander hanging upside down with this ankle lock, this looked awesome.
Amazing. But sorry to cut you off, but like whenever they do spots like this, my first fear is like something's gonna snap or they're gonna fall off the thing. But when you see this visual, just like you said, 4 or 5 guys all have his submissions on, and the upside down Josh Alexander with the ankle lock, I've never seen anything like that before. That spot was just really like awing just to watch that. Yeah,
definitely try and find the GIF for this one. It was very cool. Rohit breaks this up by launching a steel chair right at Alexander repeatedly until he falls off the X. Then Austin comes in with a springboard head kick to Rohit. We get the art of finesse off of the top rope from Bay to Ace Austin. And then Petey Williams cleans up house with some Canadian destroyers, hits one to Rohit, one to Trey, and then most impressively, you have Chris Bay in an electric chair on Alexander's shoulders, and then Petey Williams, who's hanging on the ropes above the ring, drops off and hits a Canadian destroyer off the shoulders of Josh Alexander to Bay. This was fucking insane and looked great, and I've retweeted it from the UpNXT account. Give it a follow at UpNXT Podcast. This looked nuts, John.
Yeah, this was probably the craziest spot. Like I know I said the upside down ankle lock, but this from like a wrestling standpoint, holy shit! I've never seen anything like this before. Like you said, electric chair, Tower of Doom, Destroyer, whatever you want to call it, GIF worthy. These guys are here to put a statement on Impact and just wrestling in general. If you need to watch one match out of the show, watch this match. Like, this was just amazing, and it puts all 6 of these guys on the map if you haven't heard of any of them before. After watching this, you're like, holy crap, who are these guys, and how can I see more of them?
Oh, absolutely. Then you have Josh Alexander, who comes in with his Tiger Driver 98 to, I think it was Petey Williams, just absolutely spiking him here. And then Josh Alexander hits a superplex to Trey. And then you've got Chris Bay and Alexander both scaling the ropes. They're both fighting in the middle of the X. They're both trying to grab the title. They both get the title and start doing the tug of war spot. It's like Brock and Roman on the Go Home show to WrestleMania. They're fighting over this title as you see Ace Austin in the corner climbing the turnbuckle. And you think he's going to leap off and grab this thing. He tries, he leaps, but both Bay and Alexander lift the title up, so he goes crashing to the mat. And then Josh Alexander knocks Chris Bay off the X and retains his championship. Josh Alexander still the X Division champion in 15 minutes, 45 seconds. What an opener. This was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, this is definitely probably no question my match of the show. Like I said, if you need to watch one match out of the show, watch this for wrestling period. It was just amazing. All 6 of these guys busted their ass. They all came ready. They were all excited to be in front of fans. They looked amazing. They wrestled amazing. I don't know what else to say about this match. My only thing is, like, I'm surprised Alexander won. I figured that he might lose and maybe start something with Kenny Omega, but maybe that's down the line. Maybe he fights Kenny as the X Division champion. Maybe he goes through this incredible run and he's like, listen, I'm the X Division champion, but I should be world champion. And then maybe that's going to be the person that takes the title off of Kenny. And looking at the roster, there really isn't many people I would pick to beat Kenny, but Josh Alexander would be one of them. If they continue this way and his fan reaction continues, I can see Josh being the person to ultimately be crowned the Impact Savior.
Yeah, I find it very interesting because I know when I was doing the show with Andrew Thompson, we questioned how Josh would fare as a babyface, and it's pretty hard to gauge when you don't have fans, and I always enjoy his wrestling, but to see the reaction he got here, he's very over as a babyface and would have a killer match against Kenny. So I would like that down the line. I assume watching this, we're probably going to go the Chris Bay route. Chris Bay, Josh Alexander in a bit of a singles feud. Just the way Chris Bay had a lot of focus going into this match, and the final spot of them both fighting over the title. You could definitely have some heel logic from Bay trying to justify that he actually unstrapped that title first or something like that. So I can see that maybe being where this goes next, but I'm with you. I want to see that Kenny Alexander match down the line. Hey,
the crazy part about Josh Alexander is the fact that, like, he naturally got over, like, just by wrestling. Like, he doesn't really cut promos. He had, I think, the Iron Man match with TJP really put him, like, on the map for people that weren't watching him before. He did cut a promo after saying pretty much how he's, like, the heart and soul of Impact. But, like, just by wrestling, this guy is getting over, which is amazing.
Yeah, he's very much my style. It's very much what I enjoy, and I think he's been great. But go out of your way to watch this match. This was a hell of an opener. All 6 guys really busting their asses here, and some really creative spots. A lot of things I haven't really seen before, so absolutely go and watch this one. We go backstage with Gia Miller, who's outside Kenny Omega's locker room waiting for an interview, when Don Callis comes out and he starts moaning about Tommy Dreamer, who's taken his job. He repeats that real men don't quit, they get fired. And he said he's mad that Tommy Dreamer made this a no DQ match. He brings up Sammy smashing Eddie Edwards' face in with the baseball bat and says, in any other profession, this man would be in prison. He's a garbage wrestler, and I don't want to see the greatest wrestler be scarred by a piece of garbage. Don Callis then says that from the time Kenny was a child, to being the school quarterback, to drafted to the NHL, to being a wrestling god, Kenny will win this match tonight, and after this, his work will be complete. It kind of sounded like Don Callis is maybe going away for a bit.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, I wasn't sure, like, after the show ended, I'm like, I was trying to remember, like, did Don Callis said he'd be finished if they lose the title? But no, now that you repeated it, he said that no matter what, his work is done here. So yeah, it seems like he might just be done with Impact, which makes sense because, you know, his EVP status is technically done, so maybe he is gonna leave. But then, like, doesn't make sense to have Kenny on Impact without Don.
But with the final, like, angle at the end, there was no, like, indication that Callis is leaving. So maybe a poor choice of words here, but it did seem like he's maybe going to disappear for a bit.
I do know that next time I get fired from a job, I'm going to say, real men don't quit, they get fired. That's going to be my go-to line to my...
We go to our next match, a mixed tag match. Do you want to take your victory lap now or after?
On your left, Davey, as WH Park would say. I've been calling for this for so long now, ever since Cardona and Tenille have been on the same show. I'm like, listen, they got to do an angle where his ex-girlfriend teams up with his ex-best friend, Brian Myers, and they beat him up, and then he's got to go get his current girlfriend, Chelsea Green. That's exactly what they did. They beat him up on... Once I saw it on the last Impact show, Tenille gave him the low blow. I'm like, oh, Chelsea's coming in. But there were still some doubts because we weren't sure what her status was with Ring of Honor. We heard that rumors that she might not be able to wrestle. We thought that she was going to be the one that fights Deanna. So there was, like, definitely some doubt going into this. But once we heard those wedding bells from the entrance, we knew it was Chelsea Green. Not Laurel Van Ness, which is her former name, but she's going by her real name, Chelsea Green.
Yeah. So we got Brian Myers and Tennille Dashwood taking on Matt Cardona with Chelsea Green. We see Caleb, who comes out wearing a suit with shorts and this glittery red vest that would go very well with Tully Blanchard's suit jacket and Don Callis' shoes here. You've got Matt Cardona wearing this kind of, as you said in the watch alone, yeah, like Razor Ramon-ish purple and yellow gear with some tassels. But then once Chelsea Green comes out, he turns round and both are wearing half and half gear. So you've got red and black one side and then the yellow and purple. They're matching. I like when tag teams wear matching gear, and especially as a couple here. I thought they looked great. You've got a flatliner from Hawkins early in the match to Ryder on the ramp. Then you've got... what is Brian Myers' young boy? Sam
Beal.
Sam Beal. He's at ringside as well and whacks Cardona in the face with these papers. And then Caleb gets in there to take a photo with all the heels posing with a fallen Matt Cardona here. We then get a lifted DDT from Myers for a 2 count. Myers then sets up for the roster cut, his lariat, but eats a spear from Cardona, who makes the hot tag to the hot mess, Chelsea Green. She comes in looking great. She's hitting clotheslines, a ripcord elbow to Tennille, and then Tennille is in the ring with Cardona, and she goes for a low blow, but it doesn't affect him at all. And he reaches down and reveals he's been wearing a cup. But not only is it a cup, it's this like bejeweled cup.
I really wished it was an action figure. I wish he would have pulled out a Tennille action figure.
I don't know if that would have protected you too well. So he starts shoving this in the face of Brian Myers. They spill to the outside. Cardona hits a tope con hilo to Myers. Then back in the ring, Tennille tries to hit an unprettier of her own to Chelsea, but Chelsea slips out and hits a low blow to Tennille wearing her cast. So it hurts even more, I guess. The referee didn't seem to care about this at all. Chelsea Green then follows up with the unprettier, and Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green win in 6 minutes, 5 seconds. After the match, they kind of do the Macho Man and Elizabeth pose with Cardona lifting Chelsea Green on his shoulders. I had fun with this match, John.
Yeah, this was great. I mean, this made perfect sense. Like I said, it's your ex-best friend with your ex-girlfriend, your current girlfriend. I'm happy that they were all able to, I guess, work on the same page. It must be kind of hard to present that storyline. Like, hey, listen, your ex-girlfriend's going to be fighting your new girlfriend. But who doesn't want to see their ex and their new girlfriend fight? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let them fight. But the match was great. The gear was great. Like, the whole two-face hot mess split down the middle thing was cool. Even Caleb had like the Kodak logo in the back of his vest because he's the one that takes the picture, so that was a cool little touch here. The gear was on point from everybody, but this match was good. And I hope they stay together. I know that Chelsea hasn't committed to Ring of Honor. She's teasing, or she, I guess, committed to being in the tournament at least, but she didn't sign anywhere. So I would like to see this pair stay together. Maybe Chelsea accompanies Cardona next Saturday against Nick Gage in Atlantic City.
Oh, geez, yeah. No, I think she should stay far away from that match. I enjoyed this. I haven't been too into the feud between Cardona and Myers, but this was pretty enjoyable. And you gotta look. I remember Zack Ryder getting low blowed by Eve Torres, costing him his WrestleMania moment, being thrown off a stage by Kane. The failed relationship with Tennille Dashwood, and now finally he's getting pay-per-view wins with his fiance. He's looking great, like, good for him. This was fun stuff. And I thought Chelsea looked really good here.
He had to find himself a good old Canadian girl.
Absolutely.
Good for him.
Next up, we have W. Morrissey, the former Big Cass, Colin Cassidy, taking on Eddie Edwards. Morrissey had debuted at the last pay-per-view, I believe, was it? Or was it Rebellion?
Yeah, around that time.
Rebellion and is undefeated so far. He's just been killing guys, just steamrolling through everyone. And Eddie Edwards, always the kind of defender of Impact, the heart and soul of Impact, is there to take him on. And you were explaining on the watch long, you write the reports for Post Wrestling for Impact. Morrissey's main issue is that all his friends turn against him or something.
Yeah, he pretty much said that, like, you know, since he left WWE, he didn't say in those words, but he's like, people just turn their back on him. People that pretend they're your friends are not your real friends. There's no friends in the wrestling industry. So this whole feud with Eddie Edwards was based on the fact that he formed a friendship with Kojima. So he was like, he took him out because he's like, you can't be friends with Kojima. So he hates people who has friends, basically, because nobody wants to be his friend. Kind of weird, but that's the whole, I guess, purpose of being here.
Fair enough. Talking of gear, we've seen some fantastic gear tonight. Will this T-shirt W. Morrissey was sporting be on your wish list? Hard AF, it read.
I don't know why that's like the new thing in wrestling. You had Bitch AF from Moxley. I feel like somebody else must have used it somewhere. I don't know if it was one of the Usos. Somebody used AF somewhere.
The Bucks, didn't they have like Christian AF or God AF?
Yeah,
Jesus, I don't know,
sense.
something like that. Yeah.
But his is Hard AF, which I don't think I could possibly wear in public. I don't even feel comfortable wearing that in my house, knowing I might pass a mirror. But yeah, Hard AF. No, I'm sorry, W. Morrissey. You're gonna have to try harder. No pun intended.
He needs to form a tag team with Jake Hager, because doesn't he talk about being hard AF as well? Yeah.
There you go. Maybe he can be friends with him.
Morrissey looks great though. I got to say, he's been away for a few years and he's come back looking in great shape, and like good for him, because I know he had demons, if you will, as we say in wrestling, but he did look really good. Morrissey shoves Edwards. We get this fall-away slam from Morrissey and then a big boot knocking Edwards off the top rope to the floor. Edwards then catches Morrissey's leg and slams the knee against the ring post on the outside to start to get a bit of advantage here. W. Morrissey then comes back with... It's almost like the sort of stomp that Candice LeRae does, where you hold both hands and stomp to the face, but he's doing it to the chest here, and then is doing these repeated like clubbing fist punches to the heart of Eddie Edwards here. Eddie then counters and hits a vertical suplex, which is pretty impressive on a guy the size of Morrissey. Yeah. He's coming in with these chops. Eddie tries to hit a tope suicida, but then gets caught and chokeslammed on the apron by Morrissey. Eddie then starts to come back with some punches and hits a blue thunder bomb, but then Morrissey pulls the ref in the way, allowing for a bit of a distraction, and hits a big boot to Eddie, but only a 2 count. We then get a jackknife cover for a near fall from Edwards, the Boston knee party, but Morrissey falls to the outside, and as he's on the outside, he reaches into his boot and pulls out a chain and hits Eddie with a stiff right hand using the chain, follows up with the power bomb, and picks up the win in 11 minutes. Thoughts, John?
This is probably like my only real low point on the show. If I could have switched matches, I would have put this on the kickoff and put the women's tag match in this spot instead. This match, like, first of all, Morrissey shouldn't be winning with an illegal item, number one. Number two, it took him like 2 minutes to even get the chain out of the thing, which is like, come on, just get to the point at this point. And I feel like Eddie Edwards just isn't the right opponent for him. If he's going to fight somebody like Eddie Edwards, you squash him. You win like in a minute. You don't have to go toe-to-toe with him. So, like, it wasn't the worst match. I just wasn't invested in it. I didn't really care for it. Eddie Edwards needs to change it up. And recently I just saw Davey Richards return at MLW, and him and Edwards obviously have that great tag team with the American Wolves. I would put them back together if they're able to. But this match just didn't do it for me. I just hope... I don't know what else to do with Morrissey at this point. Do you bring Enzo in as a mouthpiece? Do you put him in the world title picture? Do you have him play someone like Josh Alexander? Like, he has potential, obviously, Morrissey, to be one of the top stars there, but I feel like they don't really know what to do with him.
Yeah, this didn't do a whole lot for me, to be honest, and actually seemed way longer than 11 minutes. It did seem to drag a bit. I'm with you. It should have been a squash. Morrissey hasn't been in the company too long, and I think it would have made more of a statement, just kind of steamrolling Edwards here. And I'm with you. I know he's a heel, but I don't think this is the time for him to be using dirty tactics. He's a huge guy with big power moves. Later down the line, when you're in maybe a title scene or something, yeah, sure, start doing some cheating, but I don't think it was really needed here. I don't really see what you do with either guy. I think as long as Kenny is champion, you're not going to have Morrissey anywhere near the title picture. I don't really see him in the X division, certainly not. So maybe a tag team if you do bring in Cass. And I'm with you. I don't really know what you do with Eddie Edwards at this point either.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have him face Kenny again, like on one of the Impact Plus pay-per-views or something, to try and win it back for Impact, because he's kind of Mr. Impact. But I feel he's just below that level now. So, yeah, I could have done without this match personally, but it is what it is.
Yep.
We go backstage with Moose, who says, people make mistakes that lead to dreadful consequences. Driving down the highway at 100 miles per hour with no seatbelt. Mistake. Going all in on a poker game when you got to pay your mortgage in a few days. Mistake. Challenging me to a match at Slammiversary. Mistake. Your consequences, Sabin, are going to be worse than a car wreck. Worse than losing your mortgage. Because tonight, you face Moose. Tonight, you face Mr. Impact Wrestling. Tonight, you face the wrestling god. Tonight, you face your consequences. I like Moose's promos. I like his kind of almost soft, quiet, but sinister promos. I think he's someone who has really improved in all departments in the last couple of years. And yeah, I thought I quite like this.
Yeah, I think like the one thing that really came out of his feud with EC3 was like this, like you said, this real slow, methodical promo style that he's been doing. And I think it works for him for sure. Like, this is the guy that's going to obviously kick your ass just by looking at him. But when he starts speaking to you in this manner, you're like, all right, this guy's real serious on some serious shit. So, I definitely like his whole style he has here.
We have a vignette of someone who's painting on a canvas and writing the words, "Long live the king." And then above king adds the word drama. And you got very excited here on the watch along, John.
What was the thing he used to do? Aiden English. This is great.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody was like, hey, Scott D'Amore's like, hey, can you give me a list of the April WWE releases? And somebody went and printed April 2020 instead of April 2021, because between this and somebody will see later, like, these are people that got released last year that could have appeared at last year's Slammiversary. So nobody expected this, especially not me. But Aiden English, I think Matt Renhold is his real name. He's going by Drama King Matt. So this is interesting. I know people were clamoring to put him with Rusev or Miro in AEW at some point, because he hasn't really been doing anything. But yeah, why not put him in Impact? Have him shine here. He never really got his due diligence. I feel like he was part of the Vaudevillains, and then they split him up or whatever. They didn't even split him up, right? They just released them, and then Simon Gotch kind of went and did his own thing, and now Aiden English kind of has been doing indies here or there, but he hasn't really showed up anywhere major. So yeah, great. Bring him in. Bring in his wife too. Bring in Raquel Diaz.
Raquel Diaz. Shout out was next.
She had on NXT, but she had like a crazy, like, what, I'm gonna do a makeover type gimmick where she would like yell at Tamira. Bring her in. Why not? But yeah, I'm actually excited for this. I'm excited to see how he looks. I haven't seen him in over a year, right? So yeah, I'm excited for this. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he starts singing again, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm just checking out his cage match now, and it looks like he's only had 3 matches since WWE. All in
nowhere
just
major, right? Just indie stuff, yeah.
Zelo Pro Wrestling and HLW, Heroes and Legends Wrestling. So yeah, very like Indiana, Milwaukee. His last match was in April of this year.
I remember when I forgot I think it was after like they split up the World Veterans or right before he got released. I'm pretty sure they were using him on commentary for something. I don't know if it was like 205
It
or
was
something.
205 Live.
And he actually wasn't that bad, so I don't know what their commentary situation is, but I wouldn't mind seeing him on commentary.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if he comes in maybe more as a manager or a commentator, maybe instead of a wrestler. I don't know. I feel it's been a long time since I've seen Aiden English in a match, but interesting. Yeah, this was a bit left field. I don't think he'd have been on anyone's list of people to show up in Impact right now. So yeah, we'll see. And he can be a pretty entertaining performer. So we'll see what he does in Impact. We've got Gia Miller, who's at ringside with the Impact superfan, and she's interviewing him when Shera and Madman Fulton come out, and they storm the ring and they want a match against each other. But Scott D'Amore comes out and says, firstly, he's very excited to see fans back in the Impact Zone, and he tells Shera and Fulton that I know you're upset for being banned from ringside for the X Division match earlier, but I can see you're ready for action, and instead of having security remove you, I'm going to bring some guys out ready to fight. And that's when FinJuice return to Impact Wrestling. This was a very nothing match. There was a double flapjack to Fulton, and then FinJuice win in like a minute. What was it? A minute 15. FinJuice beat Shera and Fulton. I didn't think this was necessary at all, but I guess it was to set up for something that we won't see later in the night.
Yeah, that's exactly probably the reason why. I'm not going to lie. Once I saw Aiden English, I'm like, who else are they going to get from the What's Next 2014, 2015 pool? I'm like, are we going to see the Ascension? Are we going to see Authors of Pain? Because the way they hyped it up, like, what Scott D'Amore even came out, right, to announce him, right? So I'm figuring it's going to be like a big tag team. It's FinJuice, who we just saw last month. I mean, nothing against these guys, but it's not a big Slammiversary-worthy surprise, I don't think. Especially in a spot like this. It didn't really make sense, and then to just kind of squash them, like, okay, I guess it's a way to reintroduce them for, like you said, for a spot we're not going to see. But I was, hoping for somebody else. But yeah, I guess good to see FinJuice back here in Impact.
Absolutely. We go to our next match, which is Moose versus Sabin. Moose comes out wearing a silver and gold toga. Kind of Greek awesome. Roman feel here.
Yeah, he looks like Hercules, like not Disney's Hercules, but like Dwayne Johnson Hercules. I don't know. He had like definitely that Greek god style to him. I love this gear. It was great. The big thing in front of his between his legs that said Moose. That was great.
Yeah, he looked awesome here. He looks like a star, and the crowd were chanting along. They were getting into the Moose chants. Sabin starts the match by hitting a load of dragon screws. We saw this on Thursday on Impact with Sabin's game plan is just attack the leg, get the big man down. So he's hitting all these dragon screws. Moose then kicks Sabin to the outside. There's more attacking of the knee from Sabin. And then Sabin goes up, hits a top rope cross body, but Moose catches him. He goes for the running power slam, but Sabin slips out. We get a top rope Rana from Sabin, and then the figure four applying more pressure to the knee. And then Moose comes back hitting this huge Beal, just sending Sabin flying. And then on the outside, he tells the crowd to hush as he delivers a huge, loud chop to the chest. He then tells them to hush again and hits another one and goes, "You asked for this." And the crowd here are really into Moose. They're going crazy for this guy. And he goes for the third chop and then stops, turns around, and flips off the crowd. This was great. I don't know if this was a planned spot or on the fly because he was a heel and he was kind of getting a babyface reaction here. But this worked. This was very funny. Sabin then starts biting the fingers of Moose. We get a choke slam from Moose, and then he follows up with a moonsault off the second rope, but misses. We get a crossbody from Sabin to the outside, followed by a diving tornado DDT, and then both are fighting on the top rope. and Moose hits a fall-away slam moonsault. We saw him do this against Rich Swann, I believe. Isn't it Bandido's finish, this move?
Yeah, he does that as well, yep.
Looks great. A guy the size of Moose doing this like fall-away slam moonsault. Fantastic. But Sabin rolls to the outside and starts fighting back with these body shots, just punching Moose in the gut. Sabin then charges, but gets caught with a powerbomb onto the apron. Sabin's head just goes bouncing off the bottom rope here. And then Moose picks him up and keeps swinging him against the barricade, slamming him around. And then back in the ring, Sabin manages to catch Moose with a victory roll and picks up the surprise win in just 12 minutes. I really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed a lot of Moose's matches against the smaller, quicker guys. I very much enjoyed his match with Rich Swann. I enjoyed his match with Kenny. And I thought this was another strong outing from both guys. And a bit of a surprise win here with Sabin winning.
Yeah, I know we teased the idea of possibly having Don Callis' guy, Kenny Omega, fighting Scott D'Amore's guy, which he said in the pre-show was Chris Sabin. So maybe you can do that match. It could be in maybe the pay-per-view they got in a couple weeks, the Homecoming show. That could be a good one-off Impact Plus main event. Moose is great. He continues to improve against guys like Sabin. The matches continue to impress. My only question is, I know that Moose there's rumors of him possibly leaving, but now I think he did resign. Do you think that it would have been a good idea for Moose to maybe move somewhere else? Because I feel like he's done pretty much everything in Impact. He's been the top guy. What else can you really do with him? I feel like I would like to see him somewhere else. It doesn't have to be WWE. It could be AEW. It could be New Japan. I feel like he would I want to see the next layer of Moose, and I think in order to see that, he would have to move somewhere else.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, he hasn't been the champion at Impact yet. That is something kind of he can do, but we kind of got to get through this Kenny thing first. As you said, he's re-signed, but I think maybe have a little break. Have him off TV for a little bit, because I don't really see what the immediate feud is for him. And you look up and down that roster, he seems like one of the top guys. For me, he's the guy that feels like a big star. And yeah, who else is there for him to feud with, really, at this point?
I have a feeling that he might be feuding against Morrissey. I feel like they're going to go with that, and I feel like that might not be a good matchup.
No, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could be right. Yeah, and I agree. I think Sabin Omega is something I definitely want to see. We kind of saw them interact a bit in those 6-man tags earlier on in the year. But a singles match between those two could be really excellent. And yeah, Impact Plus, I think 2 weeks, is it? Yep. The next one?
Yeah, July 31st. Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. We go backstage to Decay, and Rosemary says, "How fitting that we should shed blood to gain gold tonight. For family. Blood is family. Decay is family." They're a bit late on this family meme here, aren't they?
I was going to say, Vin Diesel popped up and he's like, "I'm part of Decay."
Yeah, that was so last week. Family. And then she says, "We set out to bring these home to the Shadow tonight, and we always keep our promises." Crazy Steve continues by saying, "They say it's better to fade out than to go away, but everything is decay. Decay! Decay! Mwahahahaha!" And they all laugh maniacally in their dark, smoky room.
You forgot to quote Black Taurus. He went...
Yeah.
Hey, this brings me flashbacks of when you first started writing reports for Impact. You were probably like, what the hell's going on? You had James Mitchell and Rosemary and Havoc, and people were dying and transporting, and it probably brought you back to those days.
I'm pretty sure the first episode I watched and wrote a report on had the Rosemary... Sorry, was it Sue Young and Havoc in a match? And they murdered James Mitchell and then ended up being transported to the desert? And I was so confused to go into that cold with no backstory. Now I'm like, okay, I get it. These people, I understand the dead realm, the undead realm, is it?
Undead Realm, yeah.
Yeah, I get all that shit now. But yeah. So new tag champions with Decay.
Yes.
We get a little commercial here for Resurgence. This is the New Japan show, right? That's happening on August 14th.
New Japan, it's going to be at the Los Angeles Coliseum. It's going to be the first, I guess, show in stateside with fans. And it's going to be Jay White against David Finlay in the main event. I know Good Brothers are booked on it. John Moxley's booked on it. So they're going to treat it like an actual pay-per-view from the New Japan strong side of it. So it should be good. It should be good. It's a pretty cool arena, too, up in Los Angeles.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. I'm definitely going to check this out. And I'm sure you're probably going to be writing a report, are you not?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. We go to our Impact Tag Team Championship match. Willie Mack and Rich Swann taking on the Good Brothers, taking on the champions Violent by Design. And Fallah Bahh was meant to be teaming with TJP, who is out currently with an injury. So Fallah Bahh comes out with a mic and says that Impact Management asked me if I could find a replacement for TJP. And I said, no, 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 way Jose. And out comes No Way. Yes, not No Way Jose, just No Way. He's got the conga line with the whole cast of Wrestle House. You got Johnny Swinger, Johnny Bravo, Alicia Edwards is there. And they're all conga lining down to the ring. No Way Jose back in kind of his original look, the green pants, the big kind of afro hair rather than the braids that he had towards the end of his run. But yeah, you kind of called this because Fallah Bahh's catchphrase is no, no, no. So you're a little ahead there.
And also, they've been teasing it. It's been like a recurring joke, like in the backstage segments with like Tommy Dreamer and Scott D'Amore, where they keep saying "No Way Jose," and then Tommy Dreamer will pop in and be like, "Yeah, we still didn't sign that guy." And they just said it like this past episode too. So I'm like thinking, like, are they gonna bring him in? And after seeing it in English, I'm like, yeah, maybe they're gonna get somebody else from last year's releases. But yeah, the whole Fallah Bahh no, no, no thing was amazing. The only thing I wish that they would do is like he would come out and kind of promo saying, you know, I'm sick of waiting. No way. King, and that would have been his new name, but unfortunately no. But it's okay. Me and Way are gonna do See No Waiting. That's gonna be our ship, just to piss off WH Park.
Oh yeah, is that a thing now?
Yes, we're shipping. He hates shipping. So everybody tweet your favorite shipping ideas to at WH Park.
Yeah, I didn't have much of a problem with this. I can see people kind of sneering at, oh, Impact bringing No Way Jose, but look, it was to be Fallah Bahh's partner.
And it's fun.
Where
it's your first show with fans. You got everybody dancing, and that was so
absolutely
in NXT. Everybody, why not recreate it? When he got released, he was like, "I'm gonna go through this gimmick change. I'm gonna be a serious character with my hair down in braids." And it's like, no, don't do that. Like, embrace who you are. Be Jose. Be that. Don't be a drug dealer like Wei Ting wants you to be. Be dancing No Way Jose. So why not? And obviously the music isn't as catchy as he had it in WWE, but it's fun. It's not going to be your main eventer, but it's your fun segment with fans now.
Yeah, like you're in there with Fallah Bahh. It's you're not going to have a big huge name taking that spot. I was fine with this. Joe Doring sporting questionable ring gear, I would say.
Oh my god, my first thought was, is he storming the Capitol? And then I just saw the new Purge movie, and there's guys like this, like, purging. So I'm just like, why are you wearing that? And please take it off.
He's coming to the ring with his Ted Mosby cowboy boots. And this guy's like 7 foot tall. This guy's huge. He's wearing red Ted Mosby cowboy boots. He's got his Freddie Mercury moustache and then got a dead wolf on his head. He looked ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But let's get to the match. Jose and Rich Swann start. Swann is going for his leg kicks, but No Way keeps blocking them. And then they start to dance a little bit as these kicks and blocks turn into a bit of a dance. Carl Anderson has enough of this, so tags himself in. Yeah, this is one of those tag matches where it's only 2 competitors at the same time, and you can tag out to any team. There's an assisted leg drop from Falabar and No Way, where Falabar lifts up No Way into a leg drop on Anderson. Gallows comes in with a big roundhouse kick to Swan. There's a fall-away slam from Gallows to Swan. And then No Way comes in with a series of clotheslines. He hits this running hip toss neck breaker combo, followed by a flatliner. But Carl comes in with his AA style spine buster. Joe Doring then tags himself in to square off with Gallows. You've now got the two big men going at it. Falabar catches Swan with a Samoan drop. And then Willie Mack comes in, hitting a Samoan drop to Falabar. Now, if you're familiar with Falabar, this ain't a small dude, so this was a pretty impressive spot here. Doring then hits a DVD where he holds onto the arm and follows up with the lariat to No Way, but the pin gets broken up. And then Doring gets dragged off the apron, which distracts Rhino, who then gets hit by the gun stun from Carl Anderson, followed by the Magic Killer from the Good Brothers, who win the Impact World Tag Team Championship again in 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Thoughts, John?
Yeah, I mean, this match was what it was. It was a little sloppy at times. I feel like Joe Doring just seemed lost. Like, there was points where he just kind of would literally stand there and just turn, like a little bit. Like, he didn't know what he was doing for the most part. The match wasn't great. It was just a way to, I guess, put the titles on the Good Brothers. Maybe No Way Jose was a last-minute replacement. They kind of had to refigure the match, and that's why it was a little bit sloppy. But yeah, the titles on the Good Brothers, it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like the only reason they put it on Bottom by Design was to cash in Rhino's whatever that was
trophy.
Called.
Call your shot.
Yeah, but now it's back on the Good Brothers. It makes sense. Have them with the Young Bucks and Omega. They have, how many titles is that combined? Is that 8 titles they have between those 5 guys? Yeah, right. Kenny has 4. Bucks have 2.
Oh, the Bucks as well. Yeah, 8.
Yeah. So it's just another way to, I guess, literally carry titles everywhere. It's going to be ridiculous just to see them having all those titles. But yeah, the match, like I said, it wasn't that good. My only real question coming out of this is does TJP get upset at Falaba when he comes back? Does he want to feud with Jose? Is Jose actually going to stay? Is it just a one-time thing? I don't know. And I'm curious where TJP got hurt. My idea where he got hurt is at MLW. They had a 40-man Royal Rumble style match, and there wasn't an elimination until the 35th man. It was ridiculous. It was all these people in the ring at the same time. So I'm pretty sure TJP probably got hurt in that match because it was just craziness everywhere. But that's my only real question is what happens with No Way now coming out of this match.
Yeah, I thought this was the weakest match on the show. I really didn't like this. I thought it was a bit of a mess. I'm with you. Joe Doring looked completely lost. I wonder if maybe he hasn't worked these kind of matches before, because I can understand these being very confusing. There's a lot going on. You can tag out to any team, but he at times was just stood there looking around what am I doing next?
When they first introduced Morrissey, he was teaming up with Violent by Design, right? It was he was taking somebody's place, with Eric Young's place. Don't you think that Morrissey would be a better fit than Doring? If they need a big, tall guy in there, put Morrissey in there. He could definitely wrestle better. It might put him over having Eric Young speaking for him. But Doring just doesn't do nothing for me. I know he has some sort of notoriety out of All Japan Pro Wrestling, but I don't see it. I don't see what the big deal with him is.
I've seen none of it.
And I would take him out, and I would put Morrissey in that spot. I mean, W. Morrissey in the spot instead.
Yeah. Violent by Design don't do anything for me. Full stop, really.
Yeah.
But I also didn't think No Way looked too good in this. I thought he looked quite slow. Was a little sloppy.
He's another guy that hasn't really done anything. He probably has a handful of matches on Cage Match since he got released as well. So maybe he just hasn't been in the ring in a while. Between him and Aiden English, they were 2 guys that didn't really get picked up or do shows. So it could have been a last minute thing. It could have been they gave him a call hey, what are you doing? We've been having this joke about No Way Jose. Do you want to come in and just do this spot? And maybe he just had to get back into the groove. Who knows? But he never really was the best wrestler, was he? I mean, he was more just an act.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a gimmick, but I've seen him better than this for sure. His last match in WWE was the 13th of April on Monday Night Raw against Bobby Lashley, and he's worked 2 matches since then.
Yeah.
One in August last year, teaming with Doc Gallows, and one in June this year. So he did look very rusty, but hopefully after over time he might improve a bit. But definitely the low point of the show for me, this tag match. But interesting putting the titles back on the Good Brothers. I think that's the right move. I don't think like Violent by Design were doing anything with them really. It elevates the title, I think, being on the Good Brothers. They feel like a main event act, and you can showcase it on AEW as well. I think this is the right move. We go to ringside where we see Alicia Zapatella from Invicta, who's the champion at Invicta. The kind of, is it all women's MMA?
Yeah, it's all women's MMA. Usually they air it like after Impact on whatever channel they're on now. So yeah, it's cool. I get some cross promotion.
Yeah, so she's there enjoying the show, which leads us into our Knockouts Championship match. Deonna Purrazzo defending the title against a mystery opponent. Deonna comes out looking like the queen from Snow White. Big, like, feathery black cape and like a black tiara. And to my surprise, her opponent, Thunder Rosa. Great surprise here. This is not who I was expecting, but very happy to see Thunder Rosa here.
Yeah, it's funny. Like right before the show, like I kept thinking like bring people outside of WWE, and I kept thinking bringing somebody from AEW. I think I mentioned Chris Statlander. I mentioned a couple other people, but I didn't even think of Thunder Rosa because she's not really AEW. She's like NWA. So I know like people were saying Mickie James. It could be a way to introduce this Empower pay-per-view, and they did go that route. But I didn't expect Thunder Rosa to be the wrestler, and I didn't expect the result of this match either. Kind of surprising. But yeah, that's great to see her there. She's never really been in Impact before. She's done like maybe like a couple of those cross-promotion type shows, but she's the first time her being on Impact. First time she's fought Deonna Purrazzo as well. So that was a big get right there. But this is great. I love to see her. She's everywhere. She's on NWA, AEW, now on Impact. Great year for Thunder Rosa.
Crowd definitely seemed happy with this surprise as well. Good reaction for Rosa here. You've even got dueling Thunder Rosa Virtuosa chants, which I quite like.
That was great.
They lock up, and there's a bit of chain wrestling to start the match. Then gets a little bit heated as they start trash talking to each other. There's a moment where Deonna's like draped over the bottom rope, and Thunder Rosa runs in with a drop kick to the back of the head. We then get the like an elevated draping divorce court, the like arm breaker DDT from Deonna off the ropes to Rosa. There's a missile drop kick from Rosa, followed by a basement drop kick in the corner, and then Deonna comes back with a side Russian leg sweep.
No. It's an Italian leg sweep. Italian, you know, you gotta represent the Euro champions. I'm sorry, I didn't want to bring it up. But,
I'm still sore, Sino. I'm still sore. Okay. A side Italian leg sweep into the Fujiwara armbar, and then Deonna's trying to get the second arm to apply the Venus de Milo, but Rosa counters this into a choke. We then get a top rope double stomp to the back of Deonna from Rosa. We get a chop exchange. Purrazzo hits a pump kick, and then Rosa goes for the Thunder Driver, but Deonna counters to a victory roll for a 2 count. And then out of nowhere, Purrazzo hits like a snap gotch pile driver and picks up the win. Really sudden finish here, but I kind of liked it. It just, you normally see the gotch where they sort of struggle to lift them up before dropping, and this was a real kind of snap into the pile driver. Thought it looked great and was a great finish. 10 minutes, 30 seconds. I could have done with more here, I think.
Yeah, it definitely went. They could have definitely cut off what you said. The tag match before this was like 10 minutes long. You could have cut that match down to like 5-6 minutes to give this match more time for sure. I was surprised. Like when she came out, my first thought was, yeah, obviously we see her in AEW, but she is an NWA talent. And they do have this all women's pay-per-view coming out August 28th called Empower. So my first thought was, okay, Thunder Rosa is going to win the title here. And in order for Deonna to get her rematch, she has to show up at this pay-per-view. That's not where they went. So the ending was a little surprising. I figured that they would want to put Thunder Rosa over, but I'm happy they didn't, because One thing, the one like real negativity about this work relationship with AEW is that all their guys win and take all their titles. So you know what? Good for Deanna. Good for Deanna retaining her title. And then we're gonna go into the the post match angle. We probably are gonna get this match obviously at the NWA pay per view, but this was a really good surprise. I'm happy Thunder Rosa showed up. The crowd reaction obviously was great, and good to see her there.
Yeah, good match between these two. Could have done a bit longer, and the way Impact does things, it very much just goes to the next segment, and kind of Rosa lost very suddenly and then just disappeared and was very much an afterthought very quickly, which was a bit of a negative, but the next moment was pretty cool as Deonna's celebrating, some music hits, and out comes Mickie James, who says Hardcore Country, who says it's great to be back in Impact. It's great to be back in front of a live audience. And since we're in Nashville, Tennessee, there's something we love. Hardcore Country, as the commentators sing along with it. Deonna gets the mic and says, the thing is, this is my moment and my Knockouts division. Mickie James is like, hey, look, I'm not here to fight. She goes over all of Deonna's accolades and says that she has mad respect for her. But you're looking at the VP of NWA Power, and I've come for the best of the best. And I'd like to invite you to come to NWA Empower. Is that the name of the pay-per-view?
Empower, yep.
Empower. And Deonna says, well, of course you'd want me to be on your show. Every company wants me to be on their show. You talk about the respect you have for me, but you didn't let me have my moment. So grab your trash bag and get out of here. Great line. Awesome line. And Mickie didn't take too well to it because she slaps Deonna across the face and then hits her with a kick to the head, and to end the segment there. But yeah, pretty cool. We're getting a bit of cross-promotion here. It makes sense. NWA are doing this all-women's pay-per-view. They don't have a huge female roster, so you probably do need to borrow some talent. And yeah, why not have Deonna versus Mickie on that show for perhaps the Impact Championship?
Yeah, I mean, first thing, like you mentioned, it sucks that they kind of like rush through segments. Like 1 second Thunder Rosa loses, the next second she's out of the ring, like she's not even there. Which kind of makes sense in retrospect because obviously by the end of the show they were running out of time, so it looks like they had to kind of rush through segments here. But it was cool to see Mickie James. Like that was a rumor about who was actually going to wrestle, so she still was on the show. It was like 2 surprises at the price of 1, I guess you can say. But as soon as they announced that pay-per-view at NWA, I thought the same thing where they need to get outside talent. So I first thought of like AEW people, Knockouts for sure, and Impact. So cool to see her here. And Dickie Bird reminded me in the chat that she did say that she was not going to wrestle on this NWA show. She was only going to be like the executive producer. But judging by this segment, I want to see Mickie versus Deonna. I mean, they got physical. Mickie kicked her in the head. Like, is she going to represent somebody to fight her at this point? The current NWA champion is Camille. I can't see Camille versus Deonna really being like a main event type match, but Mickie James versus Deonna would definitely be one of those.
Oh, I think we're getting the match for sure.
Yeah.
If not, and that pay-per-view makes the most sense, we might see it on an Impact show, but yeah, I assume we're getting Deonna versus Mickie at that pay-per-view. We get a commercial for Impact's next Impact Plus pay-per-view, which will be Homecoming on July the 31st. So just a couple of weeks before then, until then. And yeah, AEW are doing a Homecoming soon as well, are they not?
Yeah, I think it's like the same week, like the same show. They're going back to Daly's place, and now Impact is doing Homecoming, but like, where are they going? Like, isn't Nashville their home? And then they announced something about a King and Queen like type pageant events. And then they also announced right after this the Bound for Glory show, right? So a lot of shows they got going.
Yeah. So the next commercial is for Bound for Glory, which looks like it's going to be in Vegas as shots of casinos and everyone in their sparkly kind of Vegas suits. But most interestingly is the graphics for AEW, AAA, and New Japan Pro Wrestling show up during this commercial. So it looks like we're going to have like a 4-company crossover thing for this show.
Yeah, that seemed awesome. I was kind of hoping that they would throw in NWA also after seeing the segment with Mickey James. You know, why not just have everybody but WWE at this point? But yeah, this is great. A lot of people were loving this announcement. Obviously, with AAA and New Japan being on the same show is pretty cool. But yeah, like I think people might read a little bit too much into this. Like it's not going to be like New Japan versus AAA. It's just going to be an Impact pay-per-view that happens to have talent from all these other promotions. I want to see who they bring in from AAA. Do you bring in like a Vikingo? Do you bring in like Laredo Kid? I know that Deanna has an upcoming match at Triple Mania against Fabi Apache, so you can bring her in, maybe a rematch. A lot of cool concepts. So, you know, first-time matchups they can have here in October.
These are all the titles that Kenny is holding as well. So maybe he's got to defend all 4 in one night. I don't know. But yeah, I could also see, as you said, maybe Deanna versus, maybe a rematch from AAA. But interesting. And according to Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, who was at the event, I saw on his Twitter that the crowd went nuts for this kind of crossover idea. So yeah, exciting stuff. Looking forward to that. All the way in October, so still quite a few months away, which shows at least that this kind of relationship is going to extend through to October. So I guess Kenny's going to be sticking around for a while longer.
Yeah, and I think October is much better weather to go to Vegas than in August. So who knows? Who knows? We make the trip.
So you're saying we're going to Vegas? Is what you're saying?
We're going to Vegas.
We're going to Vegas. We go to our main event of the evening for the Impact World Championship. Kenny Omega defending the title against Sami Callihan in a no DQ match. You've got Don Callis who comes out getting "You got fired" chants. Kenny comes out slowly laying the AAA title, the AEW title, and the TNA title on the floor as he walks to the ring holding the Impact Championship to chants of "You suck." Sammy grabs a sign from ringside which says #andnew. I thought it said Andrew and was a bit confused who Andrew was. And the crowd are going pretty crazy for this with "fucking up Sammy" chants. Don Callis grabs the mic as David Pence's making the kind of opening call. And Callis calls him slapnuts and tells him to go. Does his grand introduction for Kenny. Says, "Tonight you are graced with a man of so many world titles that we needed to get an 18-wheeler to transport them to Nashville. This man is a god of professional wrestling, the king of the death match, tougher than Moxley, and most interestingly, tougher than Nick Gage." A Nick Gage name drop was not something I was expecting tonight. Is it something we should read into?
Well, Nick Gage has responded to this.
Has he now? Okay, yes, what did he say?
Our good friend Vicky Bird has showed me. So next weekend they're having this Homecoming Weekend pay-per-view where there's a show on Saturday and a show on Sunday. So Saturday he's fighting Cardona. Sunday he doesn't have a match. So he said, "Omega, tougher than Gage. Don Callis, what are you smoking, pal? You and Kenny are welcome to come and prove it, but you have to get in line, and the line starts this Saturday at Homecoming Weekend in Atlantic City. Saturday, Gage versus Cardona. Sunday, Gage versus Omega with 3 question marks. See you there. 3 more question marks." So he's teasing it. I mean, you don't just throw tease out like that. I don't know. That's ooh. Kenny Omega, an impromptu match next week in Atlantic City. I might have to start making my way over there right now if that's the case.
Yeah, this could be just Callis. Like, obviously we had the Nick Gage documentary recently, and we're going into a no disqualification match here. So he's kind of, I don't know, Nick Gage is almost a bit of a buzzword these days, and we associate him with the crazy kind of hardcore wrestling, which we're going to get into a bit.
He needs more titles. Omega needs more titles.
He needs more titles.
Title, yeah.
Nah, fuck it. Have Nick Gage beat him. And then he goes through the list, Gotch, Hackenschmidt, Flair, etc., and says that Kenny Omega is even better than the great Terry Funk.
Boo-boos.
Low blow, funny. Cheap heat there.
Well, the thing is, he usually does mention Funk anyway. He'll be like Vern Gagne, Greg Gagne, Dory Funk, Terry Funk, but obviously he paused at the Terry Funk because of the recent news of Terry. So that was cheap heat, but Don knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. And Callahan knows what he's doing because he attacks Kenny from behind, jumping the bell. The bell rings and Callahan immediately hits his thumbs up, thumbs down pile driver for a great near fall right at the start of the match. Sami then grabs a steel chair and teases to hit Kenny on the back with it, but sets it up, sits down, and applies a headlock, which was quite a funny little spot.
That was funny.
But to reveal that he's going to pull out a fork, and he goes for the head, but Kenny escapes, and then Sami comes back with a pizza cutter and starts carving Kenny's head with it. Looking at his reflection in the blade, he even licks the blood off the blade, and you then see Kenny is bleeding. He goes for the head again and slices it once again, and then Sami pauses, turns to the crowd, and shouts, "One more fucking time," as he goes to use it once more on Kenny, but Kenny escapes to the outside. So Sami teases Kenny's Terminator dive, goes to do it, but as he goes to hit a tope, he gets smashed in the head with a trash can lid by Omega. And now Kenny's bringing all the toys into the ring, baking trays, there's a wet floor sign, and he's just smashing Callahan over the head with all of these, as Sami the entire time is just flipping off Kenny Omega. Kenny sets up a trash can on the turnbuckle and goes for "You Can't Escape," but grabs the trash can, and as he hits the moonsault, hits it to the ankle of Sami Callahan. He then sets a chair up in the turnbuckle. Kenny sets up for the one-winged angel, but Sami rolls through for a pin attempt, but gets kicked off, sending Callahan head first into the steel chair. Now Callahan is bleeding too, and Kenny grabs the fork from earlier and starts carving into the skull of Sami Callahan. He then puts it in the mouth, fish-hooking Callahan, just like we saw Darby do to Paige on Wednesday. And we see a close-up. Kenny gets right into the camera as he shows the blood on the fork, and even Mox kind of feeding the blood to the camera. There's then a table on the outside which is laid across Sami as Kenny comes down with a double stomp. He then sets up the table and teases a snapdragon off the apron, but Sami bites the hand of Omega to get free. They're now fighting both on top of the table, and Sami grabs Kenny by the dick to escape and follows up with a pile driver through the table. There's then a sidewalk slam from Callahan onto Omega, onto the top of the trash can. Now, this isn't the trash can laid down. This is the trash can up, so it looks way more painful hitting this sidewalk slam. We then get a powerbomb through a wooden board that's set up in the corner, but Kenny kicks out. So Callahan goes to the outside. He needs to get meaner, so he grabs a steel chair wrapped in barbed wire. But Kenny is able to fight back and hits the Kataro Crusher onto the chair, followed by a powerbomb onto the chair, followed by a V-trigger, 1, 2, but Callahan reaches for the rope. Kenny picks him up, goes for the one-winged angel, but it's blocked. Sami goes for his pile driver, but Kenny gets out of it and hits a tombstone onto the chair. This looked crazy spot here. Tombstone onto a barbed wire wrapped chair. And then Omega gets salt from ringside, throws it in the eyes of Callahan, blinding him. As Callahan's staggering around, he grabs Brian Hebner, thinking it's Omega, and hits the pile driver, taking Hebner out of the match. Then Kenny comes in with the Impact title, clocks Callahan over the head with it, and hits the thumbs up, thumbs down pile driver from Kenny, but Callahan kicks out. We now have another referee in the ring as Matt Striker announces that because it's no DQ, all the referees are on deck and ready to come in, but Omega is mad that he kicked out, so wipes out the referee with some forearms. This allows for the Good Brothers to come out, but Chris Sabin and Eddie Edwards run out to fight them off. So perhaps a little tease of a tag team title match there. There's then a package pile driver from Callahan onto the title, and the ref, Brian Hebner, is slowly recovering and slow counts 1, 2, but Omega kicks out. Callahan then goes and brings back in thumbtacks and puts them all over the ring. Don Callis is coming to try and get involved and distract, and Kenny picks up a bunch of thumbtacks, throws them in the face of Callahan, hits him with a V-trigger, and now digs his knee pad into all these thumbtacks and hits a thumbtack V-trigger, but Callahan kicks out. Callahan's hulking up, but Omega puts a bunch of thumbtacks in his mouth, hits him with the V-trigger, hits him with the one-winged angel, and well, Sino, no one kicks out of the one-winged angel. And in 27 minutes, 45 seconds, Kenny Omega retains the Impact Championship.
Whew. This match, a lot to digest here, but this match was great. I loved it. 27 minutes didn't even feel like that long, which is a good thing to me. It means that it flowed really well. I'm not a big fan of like death matches, especially when it involves like a lot of blood, but this didn't bother me whatsoever. I think we don't see it too often in Impact. We rarely even see blood, and it makes sense to bring it back here with the fans. But this match was great. Like when I first heard the new no DQ stipulation, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be some foolery going on, but there really wasn't. It was just a straight up hardcore match, which was great. I might have to say this, I might have enjoyed this better than Omega and Moxley. Might have to go back and rewatch that match, but I feel this match was probably better. It was great, and I'm not a huge Sami Callihan fan.
Sorry, 1 second, John. My headphones just died.
Gotcha. No
One
problem.
second. Just give me a second, guys. A few technical difficulties, just like Impact at the end of the show. Right, let's see if we can get through this. Can I hear you?
Yeah. You hear me?
I might need to just pause for a second. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about this, guys. We'll get back. Give me one moment, please.